Welcome back to M Hood Discovered, everybody. Yeah, would you live here? You might. Looks like a nice house, right? So it's not really this area, this particular spot that I'm putting the question to, but this area is a good example of what I'm going to talk about in this video. Now, let me come a little bit out from this house and you'll see what I'm talking about. See as that truck turned and it's going uphill, and then you see that embankment. See the road's kind of cutting through the hillside here. Everything's high up over there because that's high up. This is high up. They're coming up because I'm walking down, and there they go. So you can see that house and the one further down from it, that's a ridge. They're on a ridge. They're on a hill, pretty much. They're up, right? And there's lots of examples of that. So over on this side, the land is sloping down gently, right? And there's a little bit of a contour here and there, a little up, a little down, but generally sloping down, because in that direction is the Sabine River. And because the river is down there, people have been living in this area for thousands of years, but not up on this ridge. Really, not even up on any hill, like the top of it. And why is that? Well, less resources up here. You're further from water. But the most important thing to think about is wind. Right up on this hillside where those houses are, and we're coming down the backside of it, right? It gets hit by wind a lot. You would think that the wind would be strong coming through the lower parts, right? Not so, because the trees are in the lower parts. So we're on the back side of that hill. We're in the low area. There's horses. Yeah, I mean, this looks more ideal because there's water down here. I mean, as far as the crow flies, this creek is not that far from where that house is up on the ridge, because, you know, you're thinking, I could just drive down there less than a minute. Took me about a minute to get down here on the bike. But thousands of years ago, they didn't have Miatas, they didn't have e-bikes, they didn't even have horses and carriages. They were walking. And eventually they had horses. Just like you see here, we're on a horse trail. Yeah, so we're in the ancestral lands of the Caddo Indians, and they lived here for a very, very, very long time before settlement. And when settlement started, eventually you couldn't just choose. You had little to choose from because things got pieced up, you know, and sold out. And so when you show up, you have very little choice of where you're going to purchase land, right? So yeah, people eventually end up building a house on a ridge where ancient people would never have built a house because it's too damn cold and too far from the water, because you have to carry it. And you're not going to carry water every day up a hill. You're going to put your settlement closer to the water. Yeah, unless it's dangerous. Right where we're at, we're not in the major flood path of the Sabine River, but we will be soon. This is the landscape that creek I just came up from is rolling through. As you can see, people, not the Caddos, but people after settlement have dammed up sections of it. There's ponds. There's a really big private lake over there. People have been living here for a while, but you would want to be down in there near that water, because back then there wasn't this much water rolling through here. There was just a stream, right? Just a creek. You wouldn't be all the way up here like where these horses are, where that barn and that house is. You might be where that house is, because that's closer to everything. But this is just a section of the land that we're going through. This isn't the most resourceful bit of the land. It doesn't hold the most. What? I forgot my word, horse. Can you help me out here? Can you help me? We're talking agriculture is what we're talking, because the Caddos were an agricultural culture. They built mounds and they grew food. So the soil around those creeks may be fertile, but not the most fertile, right? And we're headed to where the most fertile soil exists around here. We're going to take an old rail trail to get down to that fertile soil too. All right, we're on the rail trail. Train came through here for the longest time, but then it was abandoned as they built a better line. And now this is owned by Mineola, this land that we're riding through, and it's called the Mineola Nature Refuge. It's got a lot of water to do things on, fishing, and it's got a lot of nature to observe, but it's also got archaeological sites on it. The Caddos lived here, way down in here. They lived here for a substantial amount of time. There was a village down here somewhere. There are no recorded mounds here, but they may have been here because they built thousands of them. You see how we have ridges on both sides of us, high banks? That's because the train cut through a hill here. This is not original where we're at, where we're riding. Originally, if the train wasn't here, we'd be going over a hillside through some trees. Whoa. Again, I will put the question to you. Would you live here? People lived down here. But did they live in this? Look at what we got here. This is a observation shelter. It's kind of a swampy area, a bit of a slough. We are down in the river bottoms, but we're not as low as we can go yet. Not all of this land looks like that over there, but that is pretty cool. So look at that. This area floods. Not too bad up where we're at, but it does. And it's going to be fertile because of the alluvium, what the river deposits when it's in a major flood stage, right? So you could do a lot of agriculture down here and not worry about watering stuff so much. You could grow food down here, and you could do a lot of hunting down here. If you're an ancient person in the ancient times, you got all your resources here. You got your fuel for your fire. You got your supplies for your structure, your shelter. You got your land to grow some food, and you got your water to catch some fish and to drink. You wouldn't have any of that if you decided to live on top of a hill or up on a ridge, but maybe you would do stuff up on that hill or up on that ridge. Maybe you would seek safety up there, or maybe you would go up there to worship whatever you worship. So way back then, when the Caddo were down in here, it looked a lot different than it does now. but it probably looked a lot similar as well. Very similar. And I could see why they would choose to live down here. Now, at this time in age, I would not choose to live down here because of mosquitoes. However, I could see why they chose to live down here, because everything they needed is right here. Rich soil. It's not that sugar sand that I live on. It's fertile. You got water up here, and you go further down into the bottoms, not too far down is the river. You got that for navigation. Yeah, so a lot of times in this area we can go for a long time without rain, but this area usually has water, right? So you could grow stuff. Got good hunting lands here, and you're not exposed to the wind. Now we can come up real fast. If we go this way, we'll go up this big hill, and we can see all of this will be above it, right? And you would think, oh, that's where you would want to be because you can see everything. Yeah, but there's no water up there. There is now, but there wasn't then. And what would you do up there? Well, you would observe stuff, maybe hunt, or you would go up there when you were being attacked. Maybe you felt safer up there, you know, like a hill fort in the UK or Ireland, or other ones in Europe. Yeah, you're right. It's about time I ended this. So yeah, would you live down here, or would you live up there? Would you live where the wind is blowing up your skirt all winter long, or would you live down here where there's plenty of wood to burn and fish to catch and good water for the canoe? Yeah, you're right. Hard to say if I put it to you like that, right? Hard to say. Maybe you would want to be down here just for the fishing. But yeah, they grew corn and they grew beans and squash down here for sure. So I see why they chose it. Would I choose it now? Maybe, but the mosquitoes, yeah. The mosquitoes would probably make me not want to, but it just doesn't seem like you can get away from them, so they'd be far worse down here, but they're pretty bad everywhere else. Thanks for watching, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, being members of the channel, and yeah, you're right. I will see y'all next time.